Today we're going to work on lab sheet 2.3. If you guys open your book to page 44, you can read along with me, and we're going to start this investigation together, and then you'll finish it on your own. So let's just do a little bit of guided reading here. As you hopefully remember, the last couple days we've been talking about the Ocean Bike Tour Company, and they are putting together this business, and so today we're trying to figure out their profit. So the survey conducted by Ocean Bike Tours showed that income depends on the tour price. The partners want to see if they can make any profits from their business. As well as income, they have to consider the costs of operating the tour. Their research shows that bike rental, camping fees, and food will cost $150 per customer. The partners want to make a profit. They need to figure out how profit depends on the tour price. So there's a lot of words in here, but one that's confusing for people that haven't run a business is income. And income is just how much money you get from the customer. It doesn't count how much money you spent to build your business. So it's not really profit. To figure out your profit, you have to take your income and you have to subtract your cost. So for example, if it costs $150 to have one person come on the bike trip because you had to spend money to rent their bike, pay their camping fees, and get their food, you want them to pay you more than $150 to make a profit. If you ask them to pay $200, that's the income they give you. The cost is how much you spend. You're going to make a $50 profit for that person. Okay, so if we look at this little chart here, if the price is set at $200, we could expect about 30 customers. What income do we expect? Well, if each person pays $200 and 30 people come, then we can expect $6,000 in income. Remember though, that's not our profit. Okay, so we have to remember to figure out our costs. So we have a table to put all this information in, and that's what we're going to do. Before we go to that table, let's just talk about our costs. If each person costs $150, we have to multiply those 30 people by $150. And when we do that, that means it costs us $4,500 to run the business. So our profit for this, scroll this down here, is going to be the difference I'll have to bring it to a separate page here. Our profit is equal to the income minus the cost. So going back to that page, in case you don't remember, the income on the left here was $6,000 and the cost was $4,500. So we're going to take $6,000 and subtract $4,500. So when we do that, we line up our numbers here. You will see that we have a profit of $1,500. That was when we charged back here, if we charged $200 for 30 people. Okay, so what we're going to do is take that thinking and complete this chart. You can use a calculator to do this. So I just figured out that this row right here. To do this with the calculator, I would just pick up my calculator and I would look at the values here, and I'm going to redo the 200. If I have 200 customers, and I'm going to multiply that by the $200 for the 30 customers, I'm going to get an income of $6,000. But remember, I have to pay for their bikes and their food and their camping fees, so they're going to cost me $150. That $150 doesn't show up in this chart. You have to remember that from the reading. So I have 30 customers, each one cost me $150. That's where the $4,500 came from in this problem. So in my chart, I'm going to put the costs over here, $4,500. And then I'm going to subtract, which I can do on my calculator, 6,000 minus 4,500, and I get $1,500 profit. So we're going to do that over and over and over to fill this chart out. So the interesting thing about this chart is get that calculator here, is when you look at the top row, if they have a price of $100, 40 people say they will come, but they're only going to bring in $4,000. It's going to cost them $6,000 because 40 people, each one costs $150. The cost of the trip is $6,000. When I subtract the income, that's how much money I get, and I subtract how much money I spend, I get a negative number, which means I lose $2,000. It's a loss here. We don't want to do that. So we go to the next situation. If we charge $150, our survey says we're going to get 35 customers. So my income is going to be $5,250. Don't forget, we need to calculate our costs. So for those 35 people, each one's going to cost me $150. So I spend the exact same amount of money as I bring in. That's better than a loss. That's not a great way to run a business. We have no profit. Okay, and then this third one we just did. Your job is to complete the table. Once you've completed the table, you have to plot the points on the front of this blue worksheet. Your worksheet's blue. So, when I look at this, it says price and profit. This is price, and this is profit. So, if the price of the trip is $100, I don't really have a profit. We call it a negative profit, which means we really lost money. To plot that point, I have to go from the zero, from the origin. So I'm going to start at the origin, and I'm going to go over 150. This would be 100. So 150 is right there, and I lose $2,000. That's my first point. In other words, since this is 200, this is only 100, so 150 is halfway in between. Similarly, to plot my next point, if I want to plot this point, I realize that my price is 100. Oops, I made a mistake on the first one, sorry. It was a price of 100, so I should have a loss of 2,000. Now, for the price of 150, I'm going to go in between 100 and 200, and I have no profit, I have a zero. For my third point, for the price of 200, I'm going to go over from the starting point to 200, and my profit is $1,500. So this would be 1,000 right here. That would be 2,000, so $1,500 is in between. I have plotted the first 3 points, and you need to plot the rest of these. That's the beginning of your assignment, the front page. And then if you continue to read in your book, let's go back to looking at the book. I'm going to erase all of this so we can scroll down. So go back and find page 44 while I'm doing this. You'll see this table is the same thing as this table, but they wrote, it just looks different because they tipped it sideways. So part A, we already started. And then part B is the graph that we just talked about. And then number 3, if we scroll down, you can answer those questions and continue through on page 46 to finish the blue sheet.